Okay, don't touch on the equipment.
They climb to dizzying heights.
I see below only, I scared.
Enter claustrophobic spaces.
If from 30th story you fall, I think your body will be smashed right.
And plunge into the depths of the sea. They put their lives in harm's way just to keep the gears of our country turning.
High voltage wire can kill you, actually. It's no joke.
If the fire is out of control, we might have to abandon the ship.
What keeps them going every single day?
It's very dangerous to climb up high. The only thing that holds you is the safety line and the harness.
It's not just work. You can actually save life. Going down. Almost there.
எப்போ போற?
அடுத்த வாரம்.
போயிட்டு வர்றது எப்போ?
8 மாசம் ஆயிடும். அப்புறம் வந்து ஆகஸ்ட்ல தான் வருவேன்.
பத்திரமா இருக்கு, பத்திரமா வா.
சரியா. My name is Pravin. My father passed away when I was 1 year old, and the only family I've left is my grandmother.
யாரும் எதை சொல்றாங்கன்னு செய்யாத.
நான் செய்ய மாட்டேன்.
பத்திரம். வர்ற வரைக்கும் ரொம்ப கவனமா இருக்கணும். Whenever you go overseas, really worried. Don't know anything happen or I pray every day for him. I pray for safety. You come back home. Come back carefully.
My biggest concern is always about my grandmother, and I can't stop thinking about her while I'm out at sea because she's alone at home. Yeah, போயிட்டேன்.
பத்திரம்.
சரி, போயிட்டேன்.
போயிட்டு வா. தைரியமா இல்லை.
நீங்க அழுகாதீங்க. எப்பவுமே அழுதுட்டே இருக்கு. சரியா? I'm joining as a second engineer on board MV Atlantic Manzanilla for 8 months. I'm the second in command. I have to delegate all the tasks in the engine room, make sure the machineries are running properly, and also life-saving and firefighting appliances such as the emergency generator, critical equipment under my charge.
Long time no see. How long has it been?
5 years.
5 years? Oh.
What do your parents say about it?
Not much. We get used to it, so it's not easy. We have to stay on board for 6 months. I'll be joining the Atlantic Manzanillo as chief officer for 6 months. I'll be slowly taking over from the chief officer and familiarize myself with the ship. For 6 months, we are physically away from our families and friends. I miss my mother's cooking. I also miss local Singaporean food because you don't get local cooks on board. Looking back at Singapore and seeing so many ships light up at night, it's a reminder of how large this industry is.
Singapore is the hub for most ships to come and anchor. What happens is that we take all our provisions and heavy fuel oil. We take about 2 to 2.5 tons worth of provisions to feed about 20 people for a span of a month. It's the same as how we receive it in supermarkets. So it's all palletized and packed neatly. Okay, so Chief, how much fuel oil are we going to be bunkering?
930 tons.
930 tons from charter, huh?
Diesel oil, 110.
110 tons. One of the most critical aspects of bunkering is actually the hose connection. I'll have to physically check that all the bolts are fastened correctly, because should the hose break, what happens is that you'll have an oil spill. Five hours into bunkering, and we've still got another 6 to 7 hours more to go. We take frequent soundings to ensure that we know how much oil we've taken on board, and also to make sure that there's no internal spillages.
Second engineer of Atlantic Manzanillo, this is fourth engineer. Please come in.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, the sounding for FO tank number 1 starboard side is 180 centimeters.
Roger, 180. We are all hands on deck because this is such a critical procedure. We are pretty strict to ensure that there's no smoking on deck, especially during bunkering. If a fire occurs during bunkering, it could be a severe disaster. Okay, Yuki Chief, so now 60 cubic meter left.
Yes, 60 millimeter. People top him must be very careful.
Correct. So I will tell the bunker barge to reduce the pumping rate. It's been 11 hours and I feel like we've just crossed the peak of the mountain. I can relax a little, that everything is safe.
The chain is okay, but I mean, only the anchor is fall apart. There was water, is not enough for the anchor.
I am the current chief officer on board. I will be handing over when we reach Vietnam. One of my responsibilities is anchoring.
I have to lower the anchor back to the water because the anchor is full of mud.
When we pick up the anchor, it's very important that the bridge will be informed the foundation so that it is easy for them to maneuver the ship.
Now just touch the water.
The anchor is about 7 tons. I made to make sure no one is in the way. If the anchor chain breaks, it could kill.
Okay, sir, anchor home and anchor chain is in position.
Engine room, this is the bridge. Can we test the main engine now? And now we're proceeding at 10.9 knots toward Vietnam.
Yeah, max is 93 RPM.
Okay, so now increasing to 90 RPM.
Okay.
Hey, good evening. So now you're here for bridge watch. How long have you been on board?
2 months already.
And are you familiar with the radar?
Yeah, I think I'm quite familiar with it already.
We're experiencing a restricted visibility. If you take a look outside, it's rain everywhere. The ship's radar helps to monitor the traffic around the ship. This is especially important during periods of poor visibility where we cannot see outside and we have to rely mainly on the radar. Okay, so now you see this vessel, right? It's coming down towards Pad. And this one will be the one over there, but it's still rain, you can't see anything. So we're anchoring here.
Yeah. So in this area, there are plenty of oil rigs. See? It's more difficult in Singapore navigating because so much traffic in Singapore. I read in the news that it's a tanker and a feeder container ship collided in which the feeder container sank.
We received a message on the radio from the other vessel advising us to pass port to port. If we didn't take any action, there would be a very high chance of collision. The Atlantic Manzanillo is about 453 miles from Vietnam. At night, it's complete darkness outside. You can only see the lights and silhouettes of ship, and we will rely more on the radar to help us avoid collisions. And every minute, somebody must be on the navigational watch. Some piracy high-risk areas, we have to be especially vigilant to prevent hijacking our vessels. In the unlikely event that we do get boarded, because of the frequent drills, I'm prepared to lead the crew to safety. Sound the alarm, lead them to a citadel, which is a safe room, to prevent them from being taken hostage.
I'm a cadet on board the Atlantic Manzanillo, and this is my first posting, and I have only been working for 2 months. I'm adapting to ship life. On board, you don't really have regular sleep. What inspired me to join, I guess, it would be just my dream. Finally, I got so tired sitting down at my desk, looking at the computer from 8 to 5.
Hey, good morning, Han Siong. Okay, as you know, 40 days ago, we loaded a soybean in New Orleans. The cargo has been fumigated. So now, we're going to go do gas sampling in the cargo hold.
I boarded this vessel, Atlantic Manzanillo, at Mexico. We passed the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and it's very special because you see very different views every single day. What gas are we testing for?
We are testing for phosphine gas. It is toxic to human beings, so we're going to test to ensure that the concentration of the gas inside is at a safe level for humans to enter the cargo hold. The fumigant gas we use is an invisible killer. It is colorless and odorless. Okay, breathe in. You feel the mask collapse? Okay, that means there's a perfect seal around your face. Okay, the gas will not go in. The gas will only go in through here, through the filter. Okay, well now you're safe, you're good to go. Put on a helmet. I work in a high-risk environment. It's my responsibility to ensure that the holes are properly sealed before the fumigation begins. If it leaks, the consequences will be disastrous. I do not want accidents happening on my ship. The color doesn't change. It indicates there's no phosphine present. The compartment is safe for entry. The soybean is ready to be discharged.
One day into the voyage and 12.5 meters below deck, I've just had an alarm. The main engine's cooling water is high in temperature. Everything is cooled by seawater. If this alarm wasn't caught in time, machinery would start overheating. So you'll start having machinery strip one by one. In an engine room, on average temperature is about 42 degrees Celsius. So you have to be aware of your surroundings because one misstep could lead to an accident. My dad passed on when I was 1, unexpectedly in his sleep. He used to work in oil rigs. I didn't get to hear the stories directly from him, but based on photos, I understand what he went through better. The atmosphere, the heat, and entire environment. So doing this sort of makes me understand what his life was like.
The cranes are an essential part of the ship because it helps to discharge the cargo. We have to grease the cranes regularly to keep it well lubricated to ensure that they don't jam.
Screw already. This one inside. And then press this one so that you can feel the pump. See? The grease is already coming out. See? Yeah. So that means it's good. It's good.
My main responsibility is to observe and learn. For sure, it makes me nervous. Everything that you do for the first time, you'll be nervous. As a cadet, we are not allowed to climb when you're at the bottom, you look towards that operation, it's really very high up.
Ilagay mo yung hook mo, ah. We are not sure if you can see the grease coming out from here. You hear the pumps working. Just like this, maybe at least 20 pumps.
It's very dangerous to climb up high because up there, you're alone. So once you climb up there, the only thing that holds you is the safety line and the harness, nothing else. So if things go wrong, you will be dead.
Do you want to work in the engine room?
No, it's too hot.
Why not? Why, it's too hot?
Yeah, it's too hot. This view that's seafaring, it's very dangerous. It didn't put a lot of people off because it's adventurous. Fetch you a good amount of money, sense of achievement. Of course, there are good days when you look outside your window. You see the sun rise and maybe rainbows.
If the fire is out of control, we might have to abandon the ship.
Fireman, get the fireman suit.
Okay, emergency team, copy.
Roger, Captain. We'll go start the fire pump. It's the morning of the third day of the voyage. We are on standby to start the emergency fire pump. Okay, Roger, starting the fire pump.
Okay, emergency team, copy.
One of the greater dangers on board ship, the nightmares that we don't want to face on board ship, is fire. Fire, if spread out of control, the crew on board might not be able to handle it.
Fireman, get the fireman suit.
Some of the cargo we carry on board are flammable. Fires can also occur in the accommodation and in the galley. There is always a fire risk on board.
Open the door.
Slowly check, is it hot? Okay, calm down, calm down. Slowly put the hose inside, okay?
Open the door.
It will fire for us, the consequences will be more dire because we are on our own, and if the fire is out of control, we might have to abandon the ship.
The fireman team has evacuated from the space, over.
Nervous?
Huh?
Nervous.
You just use this one, huh?
Yeah. But very nervous, sir.
Huh?
Very nervous. I keep breathing a lot of the oxygen.
No, just normal.
But yeah,
I know.
not used to it.
He has to control his air supply, and that's why with this training, otherwise they'll run out of air very fast.
First time I saw, I wear that one, the same. You always catching your breath.
Yeah, I keep...
Yeah.
It was my first time being assigned as a firefighter. From the drill, I see that I'm not that prepared for a real fire.
Overall, I'm satisfied with the crew's performance today, with their reaction time and the procedures. However, I would still like to carry out another fire drill the following week to let the cadet familiarize himself more with the fireman's outfit.
Since there's only 21 of us on board, we are own firefighters. And that is why we have to keep training and making sure our firefighting capabilities are up to mark.
After 610 miles at sea, we finally arrived in Vietnam. We have to wait at the anchorage about 30 miles from the berth, and this could take about 2 to 3 days.
Even at anchorage, there's still jobs to be done.
Okay, let's start.
We align the mooring line to the drum after we unberth to avoid the mooring line from being stuck to the winches. There's a possibility that the line might break, might snap. And when it snaps, it might propel backwards. And because it's very heavy, due to the tension, you can take arms off and you can kill it actually.
Now that we've anchored, it's a very important time for me to be able to do my main engine maintenance. As the ship is always running, there's very little downtime for the main engine. So it's moments like these where we have to go all hands on the engine. The main engine is the heart of the vessel. So without the main engine, there will be no propulsion. So for today, we'll be doing a crankcase inspection, the housing of the major component of the engine. Before carrying out the job, we have to carry out the necessary risk assessments, make sure the engine is shut down properly. If someone is inside the engine and it starts, that would lead to a very serious accident. Secondly, we ventilate the enclosed space for about 4 hours to make sure that there's no toxic fumes. I also have to check the oxygen level to make sure that I do not suffocate.
Normally when you go inside crankcase, you don't bring any tools or nothing. Your pocket all will be empty. If not, when dropped inside, you cannot take out, right? When I go inside, always one person has to be on standby. If I need any help, I will call you.
There's limited movement. It's small, has an enclosed space, and we've got to be very careful since one slip could lead to a serious injury. My biggest fear is actually complacency, and I feel that if you're always in your comfort zone, you'll get lazy and you might slip up. Even though if it seems like I'm just a small gear in a big piece of running machinery, I feel proud by what I'm doing.
This job is inherently risky. It's tough, it's demanding, and it takes you out of your comfort zone. But I'm not afraid. If I could go back in time, I'll still pick to go to sea. I feel I was born for this job.
This is my last voyage after 8-month ship. Once you hear that there is a news, oh, I'm going to sign up, that's the most happiest moment. I want to see my family. I have a boy, 2 months old now. I have seen pictures only. I spend so much time at sea. I work in most challenging place because this is for my family. To provide them what they want, what they needs, because I love them.